Good day and welcome to A Place Called Through. I am your host, Patricia Wade Goings. I am the author of Willpower, The Call to Rise Above. I am an evangelist and I am a life coach. We're broadcasting today from WYTV7 Community Broadcasters Network. Today, like many other days, we're sharing these stories of mission of hope. Our goal is to inspire, to encourage you, and also educate you. We're all about giving and supporting one another. It does all of this throughout the world. We're globally. We just want to share this knowledge and this wealth with as many people as we can. And that's why it is a mission of hope for us. But the only way that this can continue, and it has been going, is from your support. So let me ask you just to do this little favor for us. If you haven't already given, please, November the 30th is Giving Tuesday. Please go and make your donation at WYTV7.org. And if you just want to continue making those donations, sowing those seeds into this ministry, please do so at WYTV7.org. Today, we have a unique story, as always. We're, again, trying to inspire people here. And we're going to talk to a young lady who has truly been through some life challenges: molestation, sexual harassment, the feeling of abandonment. You know, as a child, we expect to grow up. We don't want to know that other side of life, but sometimes, unfortunately, it does happen. And in this case, it has happened. So I want to welcome my guest, and I'm going to ask her to introduce herself to you, my listeners and viewers. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Patricia. Hi,
And,
my name is Sandra Cruz. I'm an intuitive trauma release and self empowerment coach. I'm a published author, and I'm also a child molestation victim, a sexual assault victim, and a rape victim.
that is just, it's sad and horrific that you endured all of that. You know, children growing up, expectation, family, fun time. There are times of development. You're experimenting, but you never thought as a child, and I believe you said at the age of 12, you were molested.
Yes, I was.
Children don't grow up thinking, oh, when I hit that number 12, something unique is going to happen to me that's not normal. You're looking for, as we stated, that family time, the love, the affection. But for you, it was so different at the age of 12. So if you would just share with us a little bit about that time in your life.
Okay, sure. When I was 12, my mother made a huge dream come true for me. I always wanted to be with horses. I wanted to ride and I wanted to take care of horses, but of course, we didn't have the financial means for me to have my own horse or take riding lessons. But her friend had a stable and they had a pony that they needed someone to take care of. And so my mom's friend asked her if I would be interested in taking care of the pony. So, of course, I was super excited and I went there twice a week and it was heaven. And there was a stable master. He was back then in his 60s, I think. He was old from the standpoint of a child. So I would assume he was 60. And he promised my mother he would take care of me and show me the ropes and make sure nothing would happen to me. And he gained my mother's trust and he gained my trust and he ended up molesting me.
And molestation, as horrific as it is, it's sometimes done to a child by people that they actually know.
Yeah.
When I looked it up, I was like, okay, just for our listeners and our viewers, so that we can really get this clear picture. The dictionary defines as molestation, it says annoy, disturb, especially in a hostile intent, injurious effect. It says to make annoying sexual advances, to specifically to force physical and unusual sexual contact on a child. So, children endure some real hard times. They go through so many things just trying to to grow up. But
Mhm.
here, your situation is someone that even your mom trusted, someone
Yes.
that you grew up trusting. This person had another agenda. So, did you tell your mom what was going on?
I did, even though I was terrified because I thought it was my fault, since I was taught that adults know best and adults are always right. And but it didn't feel right what he did. So I thought it was my fault. But luckily a friend of mine came over that day and I told him about what happened and he encouraged me to go and talk to my mom. So I did with him present. And as I told my mom, she was just looking at me. It was just her eyes seemed almost empty. Like there was no, you couldn't see any reaction in her face. She was just looking at me like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. And when I was finished, she was quiet for a moment and then she said, "Don't go there anymore." That was pretty much the only thing we ever talked about. I never got an explanation of what happened or why. We never went to the police. He never got arrested. And years later, I asked my mom when I was a teenager why we never went to the police. And she said, "Well, I didn't want you to have to go through it all and talk about it in front of a judge. So you have to relive everything." So I understood that as a teenager, but as a child, I felt like when I get punished, I have to face the consequences. But when an adult does something, nothing happens.
And you were expecting your mom to react differently because this is your mother.
Right.
This is the mother that you love, someone that was there to protect you. And in this case, now she's just being silent and kind of like sweeping it underneath the rug, and you were looking for far greater. Another fact that I found out about molestation was that during a 1 year period in the United States, 16% of youth ages 14 to 17 have been sexually victimized. Over the course of a lifetime in the United States, alarmingly, 28% of US youth ages 14 through 17, they again have been victimized, but children are most vulnerable between the ages of 7 and 13. Still babies,
And
still
those are only
looking
the
for,
numbers we know about.
yeah, still looking for that protection, and it just goes on, even, that the research and the study is going, and we're looking now that we're in this crisis, this pandemic, COVID-19 has happened. These numbers are still rising. COVID has even, aided in this going up. And this is alarming. So, where do we go? How do we end this? What do we do to protect our children from, suffering this? Because this is something, again, it's every day. And it's not just, in one state, it's all over. It's a nationwide issue. And we can't have, unfortunately, maybe your mother just didn't know how to handle it. She may not have known what to do, but people have to take a stand against this. These are our babies. And
Yeah.
this is not, something that is normal. I mean, when you look at the effects of it, you're scarred, you're hurt from it. So we're going to move away from that for a quick minute. Okay, so your mom kind of like swept it up and you moved on a little bit. Do you have any siblings? You have
Yes,
sisters
I
and
do.
brothers?
I have a younger
Were you
sister.
able to share any of this with them?
No. I mean,
So you just kind of kept
she
it to yourself?
learned of it through, I guess, conversations she knew, but I never really talked to her about it.
Mm. And so as you were growing up, and you're moving on and still carrying this load, there was something else that happened to you as well.
Yes,
As
several things.
your family often, traveled, you're still looking for this family connection, the times together with your family, and here it comes again. So, you're in a place and you're trying to figure out, how am I going to get through this place? And what do you do to help yourself to move away from this molestation period of time in your life?
Well, when I was young, I didn't really understand what had happened. That came later. And after that, I honestly don't know. It's when you're a trauma survivor, at first you just suppress. You push it away. You try not to think about it. You try to forget it. But then comes the moment when you're being reminded of it. You're being triggered. There's something you see, something you hear, and all of a sudden it's front and center in your mind. So really dealing with it is hardly possible until you're really ready to deal with it,
Mm-hmm.
to really sit with it and allow it to be what it is, a memory, and allow it to leave.
And so for you now, because you are, in your career, of course, you chose to take a career to help other people who, are going through the same crisis. But your life growing up as a child just seemed to be plagued by one incident from another. And, you've moved on now from the molestation, but yet it's still embedded, as you said. It takes time for this, to leave your memory, because you were physically hurt, by this as a child. And so, with your mother, was your father present when this was going on?
Yes, he was, but he always stayed pretty much out of it.
And he had no reaction to this.
No, he never talked about it. He never mentioned it. I know my mother talked to him about it, but having an abusive childhood himself, I think he didn't really know how to deal with this because when we're being traumatized already, we don't know how to deal with the trauma of our children because it's just like a memory of our own, and this can be so overwhelming.
So neither parent did anything really to comfort you during this time.
No.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. And that you would look at for the support. And again, you couldn't share really, you were afraid to really share this story. And you had a friend that was kind of like a comforter to you, that kind of coached you and said, okay, well, now you need to go tell the story. Okay, so you told the story, nobody reacted, so you've held this in. And so there was a family trip that came up, and there was another incident. Talk to us about that.
Okay, it was when I was 14. Now, I grew up in Germany and we went to Austria every year in the fall and sometimes also in the spring. It was a family tradition my grandparents already started. And we always went to the same hotel in the mountains. And the hotel owner, he loved to drink welcome shots with the guests and he loved to fondle women's breasts. But everyone just endured it. I mean, it was the 1980s, and they knew he didn't do anything more than just briefly touch breasts. So women didn't really like it, but that wasn't the age where women were speaking out. So I was 14 at that time, and I was in the hotel alone with my sister. My parents were out looking at new accommodations that were building, and the hotel owner was there, and he wanted to touch my breasts. And I said no. And I ran away from him. And he kept on chasing me. For him, it was a game. For me, I was in a panic. It's like I kept saying no. I kept screaming at him, leave me alone. And he just wouldn't. He was just left and kept on coming after me. Now, he never got to touch me. And about half an hour later, after this ordeal, my parents came and I ran to them. And my mom was holding me in her arms because I was crying, and I told her what happened. And she was telling the hotel owner, well, that he can't do this to her daughter because she doesn't know that he doesn't mean anything by it. So she was trying to play it down to keep the peace with the hotel owner and us while trying to set a boundary for him not to touch his daughter. Now, all those years that came after, he never tried to touch me ever again. But it was very traumatizing that no matter what I said, he wouldn't stop pursuing me.
So had not your parents arrived at the time that they did, perhaps it may have turned out much differently for you.
Possibly.
Because he's, and by the fact that he was chasing you, again, he had an agenda. He wanted
Mm-hmm.
to actually do something to you. But I am so glad that, your mom did embrace you at this time, because
Yeah.
previously, you were 12 when the first incident happened, and, now you're older, but at least now she's finding a way to comfort you, to help you through, what's going on. So I'm sure you must have been wondering, why me? Because you just gone through this molestation, and now, here's the harassment, and you're trying to, enjoy the vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And so, your thoughts were like, I'm sure, all over the place, because you didn't understand half of this.
No.
You're trying to figure out, okay, what, and as you said earlier, what did I do wrong? Why me? And I'm sure, any other child that has gone through this, or, going through this, they're having those same thoughts. Why me? So as a parent, how do we answer our children, the why me, and how can we continue to protect our children? Those are some of the things that we'd like to talk to you about when we come back. So we're going to stay tuned for a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we'll continue with your story about being, we're going to go into your being bullied actually after all of this. So if you will stay tuned with us at a place called Through, I'm the host, Patricia Wade Goings, and we are broadcasting from WYTV7 Community Broadcasters Network. Stay tuned.
Christmas is believed to be a magical time when angels roam the earth, bringing messages of hope and good cheer. Do you need a Christmas angel? I Need a Christmas Angel, a Christmas novella from Tolson Publishing. Kelly Benson has spent the last 5 years hiding in Chicago after her crush Gabe brought a pregnant wife home. Gabe is raising his 4-year-old daughter alone after his wife of 5 years moved to Tampa with her boyfriend. Depressed and hopeless after being fired a week before Christmas, Kelly wishes for a Christmas angel to come work its magic. Can the magic of Christmas drive the loneliness away? Will a Christmas angel bring a love Kelly's way? I Need a Christmas Angel by Raquel Tolson. Order your copy today. Available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and TolsonBooks.com.
And welcome back to a place called Through. And again, we're broadcasting from WYTV7 Community Broadcasters Network. And I am the host, Patricia Wade Goings. And today our guest has been sharing with us her horrific story of being molested at the age of 12 and on a family vacation, when, a child is out having fun, swimming in the pool, playing ball, just wandering around the hotels with their family, admiring things. And up comes now sexual harassment. And, having to deal with so much hurt, so much pain. Ms. Sandra, share with us now, how you were able to get past that part of your life and move on to, growing up now.
Well, I think for the most part, I had suppressed those two incidences. I had forgotten them until I was 16 in school and we had a class on what to do when we're being sexually assaulted. That's when the memories came rushing back in. So I basically was re-traumatized in a way. Like, remembering this really happened to me. This was not
All
just
the information
someone.
came back to you, because it was like
Yes.
that cycle. It was in a cycle because you were still processing what had happened to you. And now your mind is like, okay,
Right.
I survived this, and bam, here comes all the
Yes.
hardcore facts up in your face
And
again.
the
So
difficult
you
thing was
had
when I
to.
was 16, I understood what had happened. When I
Mhm.
was 12, I didn't understand what he did, why he touched me, why he wanted to touch me. When I was 16, I understood. That gave it a whole new level of horror, really.
Well, you were maturing then, and again in this class now, you're much alert. Your eyes are open, your mind is like, okay, let me, I've been here, and now you're able to process it a little bit more, because of the fact, you know, you've been there, as we like to say, we've been there, done that. So you've
Mm-hmm.
been there and you've had that done to you, sadly. So now you're able to move on, with your life and just completely get yourself together, as I guess, an adult. So now, let's go back just a little bit too, because you did mention something about being bullied,
Yes.
and bullying is on the rise also. So when you look at molestation, sexual harassment, and being bullied, that's a load. That's a heavy load for someone to carry. So talk
Yes.
to us about when you were in school and being bullied.
Okay. Well, I was bullied from the age of 16 to 17 from most of the kids in my class and the neighboring class. And to this day, I have no idea why. I really don't understand why they picked me. Maybe because I was so quiet and I liked studying, and I have no idea. But it started like with me sitting during break time and reading a book, and they're just kicking my feet. Not very hard, just annoying me. And I kept telling them to stop, and they were saying, "Ooh, now she gave it to us. Look, she said we should stop." And like kids are, that sort of bickering. And then they started spitting spitballs at me during class, and then one of the girls bullied away the only friend that I had in such a mean way that my friend then wrote me a letter. I don't remember everything that was in the letter, but something that was in the letter was, "Yep, she was right, you're not worth having as a friend. I'm so glad she opened my eyes." And we were best friends for a couple of years. So from one day to the next, she sent me this letter, and I was without any friends in school. Then the crescendo happened when I wrote a letter to my pen pal, and I told her that I had my first boyfriend. And I was so excited and so happy, and I told her about him, how we met and everything. And the kids from my class found the letter in my backpack, took it, and distributed copies throughout the whole school. Oh,
Wow. And that must have been heart-wrenching for you.
it wasn't pretty, yes. But luckily, this letter, I got a copy too, so I would know what they did. And it was in class, and the teacher just came in to start the class, and she saw me crying. And she asked what was wrong, and I just went over to her and gave her the letter. And she read it, and she said, "Did you write this?" And I was like, "Yes." And she said, "You should have told me, would never have read it." And that was the point where everything started to shift. That's when I had a conference with the whole class trying to figure out why they were doing this to me. And then things started to change. So the bullying stopped, and we went on a class trip for a week. And I don't know, maybe the students saw a different side of me, because when I was not in school, and suddenly they all liked me. Something I really couldn't understand either, like from one extreme to the other. So, but what really was hard with the bullying was, again, not having the support that I needed from my family. I mean, when the bullying started, I talked to my grandma. She was my rock, so I always talked to her about everything. And I told her what was going on before it got to the extremes. It was at the beginning. And she said, just ignore them, they will stop. So I never got any support, and it never occurred to me that I could tell the teachers. So I was suffering in silence, not knowing what to do. So again, with the bullying, it's the same with the sexual assault. We as children don't know what to do.
And you're not expected really to know what to do, because
Exactly.
you don't even expect this to happen to you or to your child. But
No.
the reality is that it really does help. It does happen. It is real. But we have to do something to stop this. I mean, we're
Yes.
growing in a society, everybody says a quick fix, but the quick fix is not to do harm to somebody. And when you don't know what to do, ask the question, what can I do? If you're feeling a certain way towards somebody, you know, there's a way to resolve that. We have to teach our children, fighting and arguing it, and joining these little cliques in school, that's not the way to go. Because, what we find out is sometimes that, I may be in this clique with this crew over here because they don't like you. That doesn't mean that I don't like you, but it's the popular club, the I want to be club. And it's growing even more so. And, again, and I keep relating back to COVID-19. We have enough to deal with, but it's still happening more and more. And I want to share this because I found this out too. You know, Bullying is so common and it's sad, but it says about 20% of students ages 12 to 18 experience bullying nationwide. And students ages 12 to 18 who reported being bullied said that they thought those who bullied them had the ability to influence other students, had more social influences, 50%, were physically stronger or larger by 40%, had more money. They were doing much better than, the person that they were bullying. Their lives were so much different. And then it went on to say the following percentages of student ages 12 to 18 that experienced this, they experienced bullying in school. Their 43.4%, it happened to them either in the hallway or on the stairwell. 42.1% bullying happened to them in the classroom. 26.8% in the cafeteria. Outside on the school grounds, 21.9%. Online or texting, 15.3%. In the bathroom or the locker room, 12.1%. Somewhere else in the school building, 2.1%. But yet approximately 46% of students ages 12 through 18 who were bullied during the school year notified an adult at school about being bullied. Those numbers are very alarming because they're still going up. They're too high. They shouldn't even be that way. We don't have to bully, but it happens to us. We're running out of time, but I want you to kind of tell our listeners about you, your books, your blogs, and just kind of recap for those who may be still going through, who have experienced this, and what they can do.
Okay. Well, you have heard part of my story, and I've healed everything. So there's no triggers left. I do have all the memories. Memories will never go away, but they don't trigger me. And healing trauma is not as difficult as we think. It really is quite easy. We just have to be ready for it. So I wrote a book called Journey to Yourself, How to Heal from Trauma. And this book contains my story, but it also demystifies trauma to really help understand what trauma really is and what we can do to heal. It has journaling prompts, room for notes. I share amazing exercises from all walks of life that can help you on your journey. If you like to know more about me and what I do, you can find me at riseaboveyourstory.com. I found my purpose in trauma healing after I healed from my trauma because I know it's possible and now I want to help others.
And that's unique because one thing you had said to me when we talked before about healing and the journey, you said healing and beauty were a journey, but it was just the beginning.
Yes. Healing from trauma is an amazing beginning to an incredible journey. There's so much more coming after you're healed.
And in that healing process, you can help someone else because you're now healed, and we're just so thankful, that even though you have endured those situations, that life has changed for you. And now you can help somebody. You are helping others to get through this. So I want to encourage our listeners and our viewers, please follow you, get in contact with you, call you, email, text, go to your website, hold your book back up again for us. Get that book, help yourself. It has to start somewhere. So I want to just thank you for sharing your horrific story with us. We are running out of time, but I do thank you so much. Continue doing what you're doing to help others. And again, on behalf of A Place Called Through as the host, I do thank you for sharing that story. Again, we're broadcasting from WYTV7 Community Broadcasters Network. Again, I am the host. I am also the author of a book, Willpower, the Call to Rise Above. It is available online at online stores. And if you like these stories, you can be my guest. Please call me in area code of 843-608-9744 or send me that email at pgoingswp@gmail.com. You may follow me on my website at www.willpower, the call to rise above, and on Facebook, A Place Called Through at Willpower, the call to rise above. And don't forget, please, sow your seed on November the 30th on our Giving Tuesdays. Otherwise, you may sow that seed at WYTV7.org. I thank you so very much for tuning in to us today. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Stay safe and blessings and love to you.